Okay, so hi, my name is Hunter Hawkins. I'm from Prosper, Texas, and I go to Rogers Middle School. And I thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's really exciting, and I'm excited to talk with you. And I haven't been interviewed in a long time, so I hope I'm not too rusty, and I hope I can answer your questions.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about responsibility.org. So, what is it, and how does responsibility.org helps middle school students like me?
Awesome. So Responsibility.org is a not-for-profit organization, and we work to prevent underage drinking and to end drunk driving. And so we work to help middle schoolers through creating educational programs that are geared towards kids your age, your parents and your teachers, your school counselors, your school nurses. And the primary program we do that through is called Ask, Listen, Learn, Kids and Alcohol Don't Mix. And it's a program geared towards kids ages 9 through 12. So a little younger than middle school it can start at. So even around fourth grade, but it can run through seventh grade. And we like to tell parents and teachers, you know your kids best. When to introduce this content is up to you, but it could be applicable to kids in fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh grade. And we try to teach about how alcohol affects the developing brain and how kids can say no to underage drinking and substance use.
Wow, that's so cool. So my school is participating in Red Ribbon Week next week, which promotes staying drug free. So what else can we do in schools to prevent the use of drugs and alcohol?
So I think teachers talking with their students about things like underage drinking, things like cannabis use, and just keeping the conversation going throughout the year is a great start. So a lot of times school can be really busy. There's a lot of subjects teachers have to teach with their students, from math to science to English, and sometimes fitting in the substance use education is difficult. And so if there are little ways, we try to make it easy to stick content into something like a science class. So by focusing on the brain, can we talk about underage drinking during a biology lesson? Or can we write a paper about saying no? Can you practice, your public speaking by saying no to something like cannabis use or underage drinking in some sort of other type of class? So we think the conversation is the most important piece, and just talking about it throughout the year. Red Ribbon Week is a great time to get started, but we hope that we can help educators and kids have these conversations all year long, because we know that's really, really important.
Wow. And I have one last question for you. So, what is your one most important piece of advice for middle schoolers and teachers?
So let me think about that really quickly. So for middle schoolers, I think I would say from my own experience, the best advice, I'm thinking if I could give myself back to thinking when I was in like sixth or seventh grade, it would just be to be yourself and, have the courage to say no, or sort of step back if you have friends or peers who are doing something that makes you uncomfortable, and it'll serve you really well into life in high school, life in college, and life after. I think back to my time in middle school, and there were times where I had friends who were doing things that weren't, they didn't align with my goals, or, things I wanted for myself. And it was really, really hard to sort of step away, but I'm glad I did. And it sort of served me well into the future. So I would just say sort of stick to your personal compass, and don't be afraid to have the courage to say no to things that make you uncomfortable. And for teachers, thinking about it from the perspective of what we do, I would say get creative with teaching prevention education. Like I was saying earlier, if you have an opportunity to stick content into any other type of class, English, science, what have you, physical education, I think that making sure we continue to have the conversation and talk with kids about these things throughout the year is super important. So
You have very good ideas. And thank you so much for your time and advice. I really
of
enjoyed it.
course, thank you. Your questions were fantastic. So This is a great interview. I appreciate it. I'm honored.